Yeah, so as I was saying, I stopped the recording and then I ended up stopping it completely, so I couldn't finish my point. So this is part 2 of female YouTubers secretly hate you. What black women don't seem to understand is, really and truly, the dark-skinned black woman is the butt of many jokes, okay? A lot of people have this stereotypical view of dark-skinned black women, and it's like we're so desperate to be represented in media that they throw you like a half bone. It's like, yeah, we'll put a dark-skinned black woman in there, but she's got to be obese, she's got to have a bad attitude, she's got to be a clown, she's got to be a baby mama, she's got to have resting bitch face all the time, she's got to be the woman struggling to find love. Okay, we'll put a dark-skinned woman on the panel, but she's got to be the least attractive, she's got to be the biggest man hater. It's like, I can't tell somebody turn down work because I can't pay anybody's bills. But the roles and the positions that black women, especially darker skinned black women get, and this is not me jumping on the whole colorism bandwagon, the roles that these women are given are so unflattering that it just sends out a negative message all the time to the whole planet, including our own men. And the thing that's so sad is these negative images are reinforced by us. We also buy into these stereotypes and these images because we say things like, we can relate, I can relate. We don't want to be relating with negative images of black women. We need to be saying we're tired of this, we're tired of being represented in this way, but we also have to stop living that way, so I just don't know what to say. It's too much. There's too much going on where black women are buying into things that are causing so many issues, and they don't seem to see because they never, a black woman is not really going to reflect on herself to the point where she's going to come to an adequate conclusion. One of the reasons that black women are so desperate for this representation, and yet they take anything they get and blah, 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 is because of these damn narratives that they keep being told that put them in a state of victimhood mentality. It's like, oh, poor me, no one likes you because you're dark skinned, nobody wants you because you're black, da, 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 da. And it's not true. The reasons why black women are on the back foot are partly because of the way they disrespect their own men. Because in other cultures, the women let the men fight for them. And this is the next video coming, ladies. If you're watching this, whether you're man, woman, child, or beast, okay? Black women are the ones who make the men that they are talking about all the time. These men that you complain about constantly and say they don't do this and they don't do that, they came from somewhere. That almighty womb. I hear women all the time talking about, you're the only one that can give life. Well, these men are the lives you birthed. So we need to talk about why you make the men like this. But also, why do you make the women feel insecure? Constantly telling them no one likes them because they're dark. When that's not the reason. I done a video, black women you make, black men want other races of women. And I might do a part 2, because most of that video I talked about the looks. But we also got to talk about the attitude, the tongue, how we talk to people, how we present ourselves, our attitude. All these things are also an issue that drive men into the arms of other women, because men want peace. They're very simple. They don't want to be somewhere that's, trouble and strife all the time. That's why in Cockney rhyming slang, wife was trouble and strife. Because it's like every time you go home, it's just a war. And men don't want it. Oh, I'm insecure because of this. I'm insecure because of that. It's black women who feed those insecurities so that they can make you feel like a victim, so that they can then exploit your low self-esteem. It's time black women got wise to this trick and this game and stop letting YouTubers and relationship advisors, because you notice they never get to the root of the matter. They'll never say, like, Shahrazad Ali recently has been coming up a lot because a lot of the things that she said are coming to fruition, like before your eyes. You can't even hide it anymore. Okay? And I just purchased the book, The Black Man's Guide to Black Women, because it's going to be an interesting read. The people who are supposed to build our confidence the most are our parents. Okay, the parents that love and nurture, and they invest in you, they build up your confidence, they find out your strengths, they highlight your weaknesses so that you have an honest perception of who you are. Narratives are like a filter or a blinder. You know, it's like they only make you see things a certain way, and everything that every information that comes to you gets filtered through these lenses, and those lenses taint everything. You see things that are not there, you believe things that are not real, and as a result, your actions generate the kind of results that you claim you don't want. It's just really sad when I see the black YouTubers who don't ever talk about how black women need to do better. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You cannot build a community where only half of the people want to build it. And you can't build a community where all we talk about is blame. And what I find a lot of black YouTubers do is they constantly blame black men. It's as if, black men don't just appear at the age of 21. They had an entire childhood and adolescence that was influenced primarily by their own mothers. But a lot of black YouTubers never want to talk about that because they get food from these females who get emotionally worked up and spend money paying to hear things that they want to hear. It's not good. I mean, I don't even know how to say it. It's not good. That just sounds so weak, but I don't even know what to say. It's like constantly refusing to diagnose the problem. I know you're not going to get a lot of likes. I know you're not going to get a lot of publicity. You're not going to really be popular. And if you're only doing it for views and likes, that's important. But these are people's lives. People are trusting you to give them solid advice, but all you're giving them is narratives. That's one of the reasons why I bought Shahrazad Ali's book. It's on order, and I actually realized she also did a Black Woman's Guide to Black Men, so I'm going to get that as well, because other cultures, they understand about being intellectually honest about what people are like. It's only in this community that people talk about ifs and would have and should have and what it should be like, and it's more about what we feel rather than what's actually fact. And there are certain things that maybe that's okay, but why you have a multitude of black women with no husbands, they have kids but no men, they have the lowest marriage rates, and it's becoming a universal problem as more and more people get access to the internet, as more people are able to access mainstream media that is coming, especially from places like the States. More people are adopting the culture that is going to end up making them single. And it hurts me because these women are the same women who then flood into social media talking about why I can't find a good man. Well, why don't you ever ask yourself, why am I not able, why are we as a collective all complaining about the same thing? I think culturally there are different issues, because we know in some certain countries where there is a very negative, there's patriarchy, but there's also a negative stereotypical view of women. That negative stereotypical view leads to abuse. And this is another narrative, that patriarchy is automatically abusive to women. In cultures where they are very strictly patriarchal, they also have a lot of narratives that are negatively they put women in such a negative light that they justify within themselves abusing women. But the two are not synonymous. Patriarchy is not automatically an excuse to be abusive to women, because part of a patriarchal society is the protection of women and children. That's why for the longest while armies were made up of men, because men went to war to protect their land, their women and their kids. They died to protect the people that were at home. And it's not just about protecting the people at home. Even things like polygyny, which I wouldn't want to be a second wife, but okay, I'm not 100% against it. Part of polygyny was, it's better you go and be a second wife than you end up being a prostitute. You end up being destitute. So this idea that patriarchy is so awful, and that's another thing, is the black community a failed patriarchy. I know for a fact in the States it was never a patriarchy. From the time it was of slavery, okay, it's always been matriarchal, but that's a different video. But these female YouTubers, they are not trying to help you to be better people. They're trying to help you be better spenders by getting you worked up, feeling like a victim, feeling sorry for yourself, always looking for someone else to blame. And because they want to protect the sisterhood, they band together talking about why everything is always somebody else's fault except for the black woman. And like I said, black men are far from perfect, but these are the men we created. Whether it's through, the ones we choose to validate, the ones we choose to have kids with, whether it's the ones that we raise. These are the men that we help to produce. So why are we now complaining or scratching our head and our ass wondering how the hell did we get here? So I just need to put that out there, because a lot of black women don't realize that these YouTube channels and a lot of this mainstream media is nothing more than indoctrination. It's propaganda, and it's a money-making scam. It's nothing more than a money-making scam. Channels like Listen to Black Women, Oprah is a big one. I mean, finally people are speaking out after decades of Oprah throwing black men under the bus. A lot of these chat shows, even the way black men are portrayed in the media, you have this barrage of black women coming out, yes, all these black men are like that. Now we're on the next generation of feminism and black man hatred, black misandry, which is, you've got the Lizzos and the Loni Loves. And I don't know, I was going to make a separate video, but again, these women are being elevated because of their hatred for black men. I'm personally convinced that's what it's really all about now. It's like a lot of women are going to identify with the strong, independent black woman who's overweight and very outspoken, and she has this deep-seated hatred for the black man. And she's now the champion of the black female community. And because, there's very little pushback when these kind of women speak, and that there's a lot of support when these women speak. For me, it's just, they're trying to test the water to see how much we're really divided. That's all it is, in my opinion. But I'm going to do maybe a short video on that, because really and truly, I don't think that it's just somebody getting some shit off their chest. No. The Loni Love situation was just the next phase of pro-swirl, black women abandon your men some more. The next prong of the attack on the black community really is the pro-swirl movement. Now, I personally have no issue with anybody who wants to date out. If you really feel like you can't find a solid partner in the black community that you come from, and you decide that you're better suited to somebody who's either from a different culture or even from a different ethnic background, I have no problem with that, because I understand everybody needs to find somebody that they can build a meaningful and productive life with. But this whole we're divesting and we're leaving black men, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's laughable for a start, because most women are not really getting chosen by other races of men more than their own men. So this idea that there's just this multitude of non-black men who want black women so bad it's just not true. Okay? And this kind of constantly trying to hold this threat over the black man's head that, well, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to son you and like freaking threaten you into doing it, is like, a lot of black men are like, just go. And it's not because they don't want to be with a black woman, it's they don't want the drama and the headache that comes with dealing with a black woman. And just as black men are finally getting a voice through the media and social media, you have a lot more men's rights getting shine and things like this. Just as men are finally getting that voice to push back, they're ramping up the assault, where it's like, whereas before it was men in general, even though we knew deep down these people like Oprah and some of these other people that would like put content out on mainstream media, they were talking about black men. Now they're so brazen with it. And the thing that's really sad about it is there's a lot of women who co-sign that. It's in them to agree that we should just drag black men. The men don't have much of a voice to stand up, and the women have way too much voice to put down. And it's like, how can we build a functioning community if in our hearts this is how we feel about each other? So the threat of black women leaving black men and divesting is something that you shouldn't even be saying, because you sound ridiculous when you're trying to threaten black men, when black men are not asking for anything that other races of men don't get naturally. Every race of person, male or female, has issues with their own people. But you don't see them collectively throwing their men or their women under the bus like this. And what it actually sends, like the message that's sent out across the world is, black people are divided. As long as we tell them things that they want to hear, we can actually keep on dividing them, so they'll never have economic power, they'll never have generational wealth, they'll never be able to build functioning communities. And the broken families and the broken people, they are useful for something. If you can't have productive members of society, we will have unproductive members who we can sell things to, medicate, lock up. It's all part of the plan to keep the black community down. And unfortunately, black women are just hell-bent on co-signing, not with the enemy, but it is an agenda to keep the black community divided so that the black community can never rise up. When it comes to birth rates in developing countries, in places like Africa, things like that, the birth rate is considerably higher than that of the developed world and the West. So if the trend continues, black people are obviously going to start to outnumber non-black people. So they're pushing really hard for those who are in developed countries who have access to knowledge to stay down. And they're trying to implement and bring Western ways to the developing countries, because that's how they'll be able to bring everybody on one page under this system of feminism, under this system of gynocentrism, under this system of dysfunction, where everybody's kind of like either really poor and broken or rich off of the poor. So I know it started off being about female YouTubers, but they're just a small part in, a cog in this massive machine. And of course they're going to get traffic, their videos are going to get highlighted, because they are actually helping the negative cause as far as the black community is concerned. So that's all I got. I hope that this has been helpful. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, comment, like. If you didn't like it, dislike. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.